principal dancer also with San Francisco Ballet. He is about to come here. He's a wonderful friend and a wonderful person, and also a person with a child, by the way. Pascal, come here. We're a little early, so we will be doing a little interview.
How are you, Matteo? How are you? I'm live.
Yeah, you're live. So let me ask you 2-3 questions.
All right.
That came from the audience, the online audience, our social media online audience. And the question is, what tip? Oh, that's one. What tip would you give to a dancer who is not a child, who is an adult dancer, when starting ballet? Where do you even start?
Well,
and this comes from Karen Neves. I hope I say it right.
All right. So I would say, like, if you're an adult and a beginner adult, I would say, like, to try first of all to not try to go crazy about the fifth position or first position. I mean, like the classical dancing, it's quite anti-natural by definition. So, like, don't go to the extreme immediately. I will say, like, try to go, like, little by little, opening your hips, your ankle, your knees, and do not go, like, immediately in fifth position, because I think, like, the day after you will not be able to walk.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that sounds
it's like little by little is better for your articulation, and do not be too aggressive at the beginning. That's my advice.
Yeah. So you have been with the Paris Opera School.
Yes.
Very.
I did all my curriculum with the Paris Opera School.
Yeah. And
for 6 years.
For 6 years. And I know I've seen you do breakdance and actually go. Well, you won't see it right now. I don't think it's out yet, no. But it's coming out soon. A short movie about Pascal's dancing.
Yes, about like many different styles actually, from classical ballet to break dancing, because I started the dance in Epsy Dance in Montpellier by like doing like jazz class. That's how I started, and also like in the 80s was really Michael Jackson, and break dancing was very popular. So that's what like brought me to dance actually. The inspiration of Michael Jackson brought me to dance.
Nice. But then all throughout the career, I think it also, what it gave you is versatility. No, I mean, you're an extremely versatile dancer. You can break dance, you can do contemporary, you name it.
I think as a dancer, I never wanted to be in a little box. And I think like many different style of dance is actually like every style of dance nourish the other style. So when you do a neoclassical or contemporary, it nourishes the classical nourish like other type of dance. So I think for me to be a versatile was a duty, because you know, like, to not be bored to always do the same thing, but also like to experiment and get better at different style, which I say like brings all the things to your own dance when you have to dance classical or a four-side piece, or I mean, you name them.
Yeah. Interesting. Pascal.
Yes.
How about the following, guys? Can we move over, because we could maybe start the next discussion? And Pascal, no, we cannot. Apparently,
not for now.
Not for now. No. But I think another interesting one is, I mean, obviously you manage family and career. You have a little son that will also be featured in your little video.
Yes.
That is going to come out. So. We were discussing now with Vanessa and with Diana, what were, like, how did you manage this? Like, literally the on a daily basis, like, what were the things that you needed to change to manage the whole family and career?
For sure, it's a new challenge that it proposed to you when you have a child on top of your career, because of course we are quite busy in the theater, and so I would say it's just really a matter of organization with my wife, and like trying like to set our planning to make sure somebody's gonna get him from school, or you know. But it's more, you sleep less obviously when you have a child, and like bring him to school very early in the morning, and like long days and finishing late sometimes with the performance. but it's just a matter of organization. So of course, when you have the family around, it's a little bit easier, but it's not our case because my family is in France, family of my wife is in Canada, and so we have also good friends who sometimes are helping us, and like with the organization, everything is going well.
Nice. So, you know what I think we should do? I think we should start our discussion panel now, here.
But first, I have a question from one of our viewers today.
Okay.
Yeah, his name is Roger Flory.
Okay.
And he would like to know, how much different does audience reaction make your performance during the night? That was for Matteo directly, but we have Pascal Molat here as well to answer.
I think he is more current with that topic. Maybe you want to give it a shot.
Well, it depends, of course, the length of the ballet. If it's a full-length ballet, if you have like 2 or 3 acts, or if it's just a small piece, I would say of 30 minutes. I believe like from the beginnings, you can have a sense of the audience, how they react. If like sometimes they're like more aware and more participating than some other nights. It depends. Like the energy is different. Your energy can be different. So of course, like being on stage and like being in a relationship with the audience, first of all, of course, you have like to take care of what you need to do on stage and try to do the best you can and have like pleasure of doing it. So like that for sure, like the audience will appreciate even more and maybe participate more and get more involved. So I would say, you know, it's always a known situation, and this is true that sometimes like the audience is more participating than some other times, but there is nothing really that us can do on stage to make that different.
So I was mentioning before that we will have this discussion, a panel discussion. I wasn't mentioning that we'll be crouched together because we have to take care of headphones. But I think what will be interesting is, especially from you at the beginning, to hear about the things that you found out all through these years. You have been working with the best athletes that there are out there, football MVPs, boxing world champions, you name them. And anything that's famous out there and successful, you have probably been working with in the US.
I try.
You try.
And dancers, of course.
Yeah.
Exactly. And now, leading up, well, you're coming from that background. You went into dancing more and more, and very successfully now. I mean, pretty much everybody that is around has already been rehabbed by you.
Yes.
So my question is how is it different from athletes? Is it not different at all from other athletes when you rehab dancers?
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting because dancers feel like they're very different, and they are different in many ways, but it's the athletic pro sport world and the dance world has been separated and treated like they're different entities. But the reality is these are both bodies, machines, working at a max level in extreme conditions. And the thing with professional sports, often these guys, gals, they're creating big, giant forces. They may be pushing against things, but you know, with dancers, it's a more delicate balance of length and line and holding positions. So the thought is like, oh, we shouldn't do anything. You know, we shouldn't strengthen. Oh my God, like I rarely say strengthen to a dancer. But the reality is, if you come into my world, be it through an injury or some sort of breakdown, or from a conditioning point of view, it's really about turning on muscle. It's about tapping into your neuromuscular system, and that's an important concept. So it doesn't mean going to the gym and pushing weights around and just randomly doing things. And we have to thoughtfully concoct work that is consistent with the demands of that body. And being able to, and I talk about this a lot, and all you guys have heard this, like you're not in your quad, you're not in your hip rotator, you're not in your spine stabilizers. So professionals and dancers for sure, the better they are, the better they learn how to compensate and use 70% of their physical capacity to get the job done. But my goal is to get you into your body at 100%. So be able to find access each muscle, key for the dancer, spine, knees, foot and ankle, shoulders, core. Get them to be able to find that, feel that, turn it on, burn it, fatigue it, go through the body that way, and then work it all together. Because what we forget is that we've got a ton of control over our physicality, whether we're injured or whether we're trying to enhance performance, prevent injury. You can kind of fine tune this machine if you understand it and go through and turn things on one step at a time. And once you go there, you're like, wow, this is a whole different world. I had no idea. So that's sort of the, yeah.
That's amazing. And what's even more amazing, I mean, the content is insane, what you're saying, but that you're saying the whole thing right now with having an echo in your ears is even more amazing. Yeah, I mean, well, you know that I'm a humongous fan. I think we don't have to discuss that. So we have Lauren Lovette online as well.
Hey everyone.
Hello.
Hi. This is amazing. Do we have Paulo as well? Not yet. Okay. Well, thank you, Lauren, for tuning in.
Sure.
Great honor, of course.
Thank you.
You have been a principal at a very young age, and you're right now. You are injured.
Yes, Wednesday I bruised my knee, a bone bruise, and a damaged ligament. I wanted to dance for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So that was sad, but it's it's getting there. It's a lot better. I can walk without pain. So
yeah,
it'll be about a week more of no dancing.
Got it. And like through these times when you're injured, how do you keep in shape generally? Because you know you will be getting back to dancing. And how do you keep up also with your head? I mean, it is kind of a strain on your mental as well, no? When you are getting injured and suddenly you're losing your rhythm and so on and so on. How do you cope with physical and mental health?
I have great physical therapists. That helps. It's frustrating for me because when you can't walk, it's hard to do cardio, so I can't keep my stamina up the same way. I do dance moves with my arms. That's what my PT has told me to do, literally, like 10 minutes of moving my arms as fast as I can. So that's, I have exercises, but mostly it's when the PT says to rest, you have to rest. So that can be hard for dancers to just take time, and I'm lucky because I'm interested in a lot of other things, so I can read, and I have a singing lesson tomorrow. I like singing. And I mentor kids, and I teach and coach. So it helps to have other interests in that time when you're not able to dance, which is what we love to do the most. So.
No, I think it is very smart of you also to use this time productively and almost have it enrich in your life in this period. And
Thanks.
I mean, when you hear these things, bone bruise.
I know, is it inappropriate if I get kind of psyched about that? Like, oh my God.
Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, so what are things that you see a lot with dancers, like where you say, okay, those are typical reoccurring injuries, and typically dancers should do this and that more and do that too little.
Yeah. Well, I think a bone bruise, a bone contusion changes on MR in your bone, and I don't know if it was one land jump sort of event or you just started to feel your knee. That history is important. Yeah. But if one looks at a bone bruise, it's an acute overcompression of a certain tissue. So it's important to have MR information and all that kind of thing, because then we could say, okay, this tissue is overloaded. Did it overload chronically? Did you start feeling your knee? And all of a sudden, gosh, I really can't dance, I'm sore. Every time we sort of have to factor that history into it along with the MR and say, all right, given that, how do we slot you in? How do we play with your cardio? If you're supposed to be in non-weight bearing completely, how do we cross-train the rest of your body? Then how do we reintroduce load across that surface? I.e., how do we start to put your foot down? Whether it's on a pedal of a bike, on a shuttle or reformer sort of thing, in standing weight-bearing work, all in preparation to that neuromuscular system as a shock absorber, and prepare the tissue, the bone bruise in this case, for dancing loads.
Yeah, I think for me, what I always heard from other dancers, just to the strengthening aspects of that you all.
We don't say strengthening, but yeah.
To the conditioning aspects, or that you always made us aware of, all of us dancers that are here right now as well. I think a big aspect was always that I heard about people saying at the beginning, okay, you're doing squats, a lot of squats and stuff like this.
Yeah.
That's not good for a dancer because that's, you're getting big muscles, and we don't want big muscles.
Right, absolutely.
So what are exercises where you feel resistance, but you think throughout time it has proven you right to do those exercises?
Right.
Is there certain exercises for the young audience where you would say,
yes,
start doing these?
Yes.
You can show them if you want.
Yeah, show us.
Maybe one of them. I'll coach. Okay, well,
right here.
First of all, squat means 1,000 different things to 1,000 different people, right? So we have to really define what we're talking about. And I've got a very specific, famous, infamous squat routine that people know, I think, all over the world. But it's really, here's the philosophy. This is what drives everything that I do. The load that you have to move, the weight that you have to move is your body weight. That is the weight you take onto the stage, that you carry up and down the stairs, that will age with you. So my philosophy is that you've got to be able to have enough strength, muscle control, hang time, endurance in those muscles that carry your body weight. Because if the muscles take the load, the skeleton and the ligaments and the cartilage don't. So therefore, it's okay to hold your body weight in a position that one would describe as a squat and let the key muscles turn on. And with dancers, I will do some, and we can show some. I will do some classic parallel, if you will, plie position or first position type squat hold things. But I'll also take and turn out, so it's a little more activating of a dancer's muscles. But I don't mind letting people turn their quads on, because when you have to accelerate up the ground, not only is it your hip, your glutes, your adductors, but your quads push you up in the air. When you land a jump to not tear your ACL, your quads do decelerate. That's just the way the machine's put together. So we can't argue that, even in dance. So I don't put weight on people at all. It's like I say, it's your body weight. That's the weight you have to move and fly through the air and spin and turn and pirouette. So it's sound and safe. And I would say 99.9% of the time people are like, oh, I feel so much better. I'm so much stronger. I'm so in control of my body. And it typically yields less wear and tear and injury. So
yeah. So I think now we have Paulo as well around. Paulo from Boston, principal dancer with Boston Ballet. Hi, Paulo.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So yeah, we're talking now about injuries, mental aspects, physical aspects, of course, and unfortunately, you were going to dance today. Unfortunately, you got injured.
Yeah.
So what are generally things that you do to get back? But also maybe in your case, because we have been discussing a little bit already previously about getting back, what are things that you generally do to keep in shape besides your usual ballet exercises?
I found out that for me, Pilates work really well too, because many of my problems is back spasms. So getting my core ready on a laying down, for example, so I'm not arching or tucking in and making my back worse, that helps me a lot, like stay with my core stable.
Got it. Where did you get this from? Like, was that something that you figured out, you researched about, or was that a certain person that went like, dude, that's what you have to do? Like, when did you start doing that?
I actually got into it a year ago. I tried it before, but I don't think I met the right instructor. And now we have a new physical therapist here in Boston Ballet, and she's a Pilates instructor. I met her when I was injured, so she knows exactly what I need and what muscles I need to make it stronger, so I don't get other parts of my body injured.
Got it. Yeah, another one here. I think David. I mean, we know each other for a long time, and I think you had a really terrible injury. You had surgery, back surgery, which is a surgery that, to my knowledge, and I'm no medical person at all, so that doesn't mean anything. But to my knowledge, it's not a sure bet that somebody after this surgery comes back to ever be dancing again.
True, true. So that was actually 6 years ago when I really hurt my back, and they decided to do a surgery, and I was really worried, and I was already thinking about what am I going to do after that, because I thought I'm going to stop dancing and I'm not going to be able to dance. After the surgery, you know, it was very successful. It was very minor. Well, I can say minor because it was, you know.
No back surgery is minor.
Yeah, I know, but
It was well treated.
After, yes, well treated actually. Yeah, let's just say that. And the rehab was amazing. I mean, you know, I just started getting better and better after that surgery. I had a lot of back spasms, and you know, I used to go to see a lot of chiropractics and massage therapists, acupuncture. I tried everything, Pilates. I don't know if Pablo is still listening to us, but I was going to say also, you know, besides Pilates, you know, I've tried a lot of things. For me, strengthening is great, but at the same time, I think stretching and being to have the flexibility in your body will help also with the strengthening. Because for me personally, I don't know, the strengthening by himself was a little too much because it would just make it everything shorter. But I used to do also gyrotonics, which was really good. Also was, you know, just the stretching and strengthening at the same time. I've seen Lisa for my back for a long time. And, you know, all these things just combining was amazing. And I've been dancing after, you know, 5 months of my surgery. And, you know, until now I'm dancing, you know. Here and there I get injured and come back. You know, I learn about my body a lot, how to work with, and what to do to get back on stage as soon as I can.
Don't you think you always, when you have something like that, you always sort of are managing it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And you like, I mean, you like to manage it in a way that's not in the forefront of your brain, but there's always an element of keeping balance, as you say.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you learn a lot about your body every time you get hurt, and then you come back and you know more about your body, what to do to not get at that position, you know. So it's unfortunately our profession, you know, has a lot of injuries, but it's a process, and you learn about your body, and you know, you meet amazing therapists, and you learn and try to go on and keep dancing.
I think that's a super interesting aspect, and one that for young dancers you're not so aware of. You get an injury, you get rid of it. But I think what you just said is, I think, very important. You get an injury, and it makes you cleverer. It makes you better in your head. And you're learning about your body. And I think that's a huge aspect. That's not only an aspect of not getting injured again, but being more productive also, because you have been thinking about certain aspects.
Yeah, you have to analyze what happened and why it did happen.
Yes.
And that's where you get like feedback from professionals, where you can actually understand better why it did happen, so like that it doesn't reoccur, and also like be aware of like using your knowledge from that injury to not make it happen again, but even like today to be even better, because knowing yourself, of course, knowing exactly all the skill and the strengths and the weakness that you have, then you can go around, make sure like you're not going to get injured again. And that's the most important thing.
So
let me say one thing about that too. I think it's sort of you do have to sort of have your mindset around it as the athlete, as the dancer, that you're doing big crazy things, and that's okay. And you're stressing the system in certain ways, and short of, you know, again, landing and blowing out your knee, a lot of these things are usually sort of fall apart things, and it is a constant game of management. But it could be an empowering sort of thing too. You have control. You're not just shut down. I'm hurt. That pulled this. Sit. I think that's from a mental point of view too. Like, no, it's about tweaking the machine, and you're always sort of tweaking the machine, and realizing that that's part of your career, and that's okay because I have control over that. I can do that. I can be proactive. Stuff doesn't just have to happen to me, and I think it's empowering. That helps the mental aspect of it. Everyone's bummed for a minute. Then you're like, okay, let's go. What's my cocktail? What's my
it's
menu?
true. Like over the years, through a career, you are your own guinea pig.
Yeah.
You are making your own experience to yourself to understand where are the limits, where I'm going to be in danger or not, where I can push being still in control. And so, of course, injury offers you those kind of response too, if you analyze and get very clever about it.
Yeah.
This is where I'd say, you asked me earlier, what's the difference between professional athletic sports and dance. I think that's pro sports. That's a group that's more used to conditioning, right? Classic sports, you picture, Olympic lifting, training room. That, of course, that doesn't apply to the dance population. But the concept of, I need to sort of cross train, or some element of cross training definitely makes me better and makes me more durable. I'm all about durability, and I'll say that when I talk to people. I think that's more new in the dance world and super important. Like, to me, working in professional sports, it's so excruciatingly obvious. But the culture of dance has sort of been, the other way. Now, again, you don't go blow into the gym and start pushing weights around, but that idea that I have to work my machine a little bit different, and I can go on and on about that, that's the stuff I would quit, but that's not what we're doing today. And the other thing that cued me on that is, because I take care of so many dancers over the years, the more mature ones, so not the kids. Something happens to them, it's classically a big wear and tear thing. And I get this, if I only knew then what I know now, I would have handled my career completely differently. Meaning I would have kind of got into my body a little bit. I would have tweaked my machine from a conditioning training point of view. So that's interesting.
And so basically what all of these things come down to, Paulo has a question to Lisa.
Yes. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
I have a question. As I get older, I get better at it, but when I was young and I would get injured, I would struggle a lot with on how to pace myself coming back to dance. As soon as I would, I think with dancers that we can push through a lot of pain very easily. And when I got injured before, I came back too quickly, let's say that way. What is your vision on that?
That is tricky, because you got the pressures of wanting to get back and a director wanting you back and all that kind of thing. But I think you have to be guided well by your medical professional to sort of reloading your body. I talk a lot about this reloading. I mean, the body has to take a stress and absorb it. And so I think knowing that you kind of dosed your work back in carefully, you've got all your base core ability. You can use the injured area in a controlled, simple way. You've got good muscle control and endurance and pain-free function. And then you bring it up to standing and you dose yourself with some bar. Then you tolerate that well. You dose yourself moving away from the bar into center. Then you dose yourself into a little bit of impact. I think you really have to make sure that you go through each step. And you may pick up the pace here and there, but you never go from, B to L. You always are going to, I'm going to make sure I go through each step so I know I tolerate at each level before I go on to the next. And if you could be patient enough to do that, and it doesn't have to be forever, if you could be patient enough to do that, that usually gets you to the other side without fallback, because you've worked yourself to that point. You've allowed yourself to develop appropriate tolerance to the activity.
And I think that's
Right.
the big fall down for many dancers. You know, like it was for me. You actually get up and you're like, actually today it feels great, and you get out there and you're jumping, and instead of saying like, wait, I know I should not do that, even though it feels like I could. I think that's a very good point.
Or you say, gosh, it's been 6 weeks. The doctor said 6 weeks. So there's, you know, your body has a physiological healing timeline. Things heal and change over time, but it doesn't mean your machine's ready. So that's why the compulsive attention to making sure everything around the injury is on and ready and prepped and is taking the reps, that has to be in line with, in parallel with the sort of progression of healing, because it can't just be up. The clock says, they said, so I'm getting up and going.
Right.
Everything around may not be ready for that. That's why the methodical step by step re-add is the safest way to go in and not come back out.
And this is where I think when you are younger, you really want just like to come back as fast as you can. And like the passion of it is like, okay, it's been 5 weeks, maybe I haven't done anything. I mean, for dancer, we need to move. We need like to put like this energy out there. And when you are younger, you are just thinking about one thing, it's that. But when you're older, for sure, like you're really a little bit more of wisdom, and you listen a little bit better to your body, because your body is speaking to you. And so, like if you have like a good tendency to listen to it, it's going to give you away the right answer and the right thing for yourself.
Yeah. Right, guys. I think we have to slowly wrap it up now. But I think what is very important to mention at this point, of course, is the product. But let me go back a step, because I think what's important is all that you talked about really was constant innovation. You said, look, you learn from your body. I tweak my body. I get out there. I get better. That's what you said. What you said was everything you did was innovate in the dance space.
Yeah.
So you brought over your creativity and your knowledge from your past, and you applied it in a new market. Right. All this is innovation, right? Yes.
For each performance, you innovate. Yeah. You are live and you try to bring away something new, something refreshing for yourself, but for the audience too.
Yeah.
And the same for your project.
Exactly. And so for us, we went back. I mean, we were discussing a lot about how could you create performance-enhancing gear in this space. And actually, everybody who's around here had this discussion with us, like, how do we create products in this space that are the next step, the next generation? And I think one key product really for this whole market is very simple, is ballet tights. Mm-hmm. And so what we did then, we were thinking about the different aspects that dancers, or the different stages that dancers go through in their daily life, which is always rehearsals, which is always performance, and which is always recovery. And those three stages have very different, or need a very different way of dealing with. We have a lot of impact over and over the same jumps and so on in rehearsal. You are performing once, you want to feel great, you want to look great. That's the most important aspect. Obviously, you always want to look great, also in rehearsal. And I think that's what the main attention went into all this time. And then you want to recover, but the recovery tool should be something that's dance specific. And that's not, for example, we ran into hey, let's wear leggings. Well, the girls in this market say, if I wear leggings, it's even worse, because the blood is going to go down, but it's never going to come up if it's compressed even, which is where we went with our recovery tights. So we have these three tights, and I think you should go check them out. We have been developing for a long time with a lot of dancers, with very smart people like Lisa. And of course product developers, manufacturers, and I think we have been creating a product that is absolutely unique, and to what we think the best that we can get out there right now. So thank you so much for the first part. I had a lot of fun with all of you guys, and see you for the second part, which will start in about an hour. Well, you know the schedule, it's online on social media. Thank you. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Paulo. Bye-bye.
Bye, Paulo.
Bye, guys.
Bye.